Say, kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
What's going on, Mike? The intern, Jay Stevens in the studio today. It is Dark Side of Stream episode 222. Today we're doing American Murder, the disappearance of Gabby Petito.
I'm gonna vlog. I'm vlogging this for us.
Yeah, thanks. While Tyler does it,
Well,
seems
that's
like
right.
it's too much. Seems like it's too much.
I get inspired by these vloggers to vlog our life together, Mike.
It's a multi-part story that talks about a crazy domestic issue that we're going to dive into. But first and foremost, it talks about a young couple that decided to build one of those live-in vans. And
Yeah, the van life. They call it van life. There's a lot of van life vloggers out there, I guess.
It's so funny to me. You get these kids that come from wealth.
They've never been camping.
They didn't have to get a job at 15.
Somebody like me, I've never been camping.
Didn't have to get a job at 15. Didn't know what it was like, hand to mouth, all that stuff. And then one day he was like, I want to live on the other side.
I'm going to quit my job and just go
literally
live.
think that van life is really like hand to mouth, which it's not, guys. If you have not packed a pack with knowing that you are going to be away from civilization for 5 to 7 days, and all you have is what is on your back.
I'm not doing that.
You don't know what it's like.
I'm not doing that even for a day.
Even then, and I will go as far as to say that even in the situations where I did that, both either hiking or going on a 5+ day float trip on the Buffalo, which is actually even more difficult because you've got to consider that you're going to be on the water. You can't bring so much. You can't bring 5 days worth of food. You can bring enough to get you through like one a day. But
so how do you eat the rest of the days?
You hope you catch a fish.
No.
And if you don't,
Dude,
you just
Tyler,
go to one. You basically go to one meal. I mean, I remember that one particular trip that we had at least 5 or 6 guys on. The last night, all we had was one can of clam chowder soup that we shared between the 4 or 5 of us.
Ugh.
That was it. That was all we had.
5 dudes, 1 can. That sounds like a video. That's the true video we should make.
We hit Harrison, Arkansas, and we went to that Chinese buffet and closed it down.
I bet you got down
after we got there. But what I'm getting at is this. You see these vloggers, you see these influencers, and they're like, I'm living the van life. It's still, dude, that's luxury. You're just basically turned your van into an RV. And to me,
pretty sweet little vans they make.
They're badass.
Yeah.
And would I love to have one?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can make one.
But I mean...
But what do they do? So they just drive around the country camping and just say, hey, we're camping here.
You're making food.
I just don't see how that's living in content. Is it a big market? Tyler, is it a big market for van life vlogging?
You're
a millennial.
You follow a bunch of these kids that park their van by a cliff and
who does? Why do you follow that? I don't see why there's
garbage.
I don't see. All right, well, maybe there's a market for it.
It's the same thing where you see these guys are like, I'm backstage with this wood, blah, 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 blah. Cool, look at me. Well, that's great. Unless you're giving me an interview, like...
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
Yeah.
Who are your favorite bands? What album changed your life? Stuff like that. That's
how many guys have you shared a can of clam chowder with?
You see pictures of people behind stage with famous people. Like, I could care less.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Yeah.
So in that regard, the whole van life thing to me is a joke. To me, it's like you just buy an RV and travel the country. Like, I get that's cool that you're able to build that in your van, but guys have been doing that in school buses since the late 60s, early 70s.
You're right.
It's nothing new. You didn't break
since the 60s. Yeah, the 60s. They used to roll around in school buses in the 60s. You're right.
Have actually just gotten better in the fact that you can literally have a sat phone in your van and call wherever you want and be on Starlink and use internet to upload your videos wherever you are. Again, are you really missing out on the comforts of home when you're in that van life?
So we are going to talk about a documentary probably in the next break.
Eventually. But I just wanted to get that out on the table first. That whole van life thing is a garbage joke to me, especially for someone that's literally lived in the backwoods in Missouri, Arkansas, Arizona,
It's
New Mexico,
not real camping.
Utah,
You're saying
Colorado.
It's not real camping. Not real camping.
It's nothing. It's not.
Well, I don't plan on ever doing any camping.
These trust fund babies
good.
that got too much money to blow and they're tired of listening to their rich parents. That's all it is to me. But just because that's the case doesn't mean anyone should die. And that's what we're going to talk about next. American Murder, the disappearance of Gabby Petito, next on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. We're discussing things we can't probably talk on the air today on 104.7 The K. But this is Dark Side of the Stream. We're discussing American Murder, the disappearance of Gabby Petito.
It made national headlines, the story. I think everybody was familiar with the story, right?
I'm going to that, too, because at the end of the documentary, they talk about something called missing white girl syndrome. And what that means is, when you look at the picture over a whole across the United States of America and the media coverage that disappearing women get, by a large margin, if you are a Caucasian woman, you are going to get coverage at the wazoo. But if you're a person of color or indigenous, chances are they're probably not going to cover it. And at first, Gabby's dad was a little taken aback by it. He was like, "What? Are you kidding me? That's my kid." And validly so. At that point, it doesn't matter what color your kid is. It's your kid. Don't matter what you think. But at the same time, he realized that, in fact, was the case. And since then, the foundation that they've created to remember his daughter, who was killed in this situation, has done a lot to actually bring that to the forefront.
Shed light on the subject.
But inherently, it's a media problem, and we all know what that is with that. So it is what it is. But yeah, that was a crazy story in itself.
So they built a van. They set out to go camping and vlogging. Her and her boyfriend, who seems a little sketchy.
He definitely had some issues. They were living together. They moved in together pretty quickly. Then eventually they went back down to Florida to live with his family. She at the gate was like, "This isn't."
Well,
really
she didn't seem like she was all there either. Like she was definitely a little dipsy.
She may have had some issues, but again, that doesn't justify what happened. But she kind of raised a red flag to not only her friend that lived in Florida, but also to people back home that was like, "Hey, this is kind of weird," or "His mom's really weird. This is kind of a weird scene. I don't know if I want to do this." And then all of a sudden, we're buying a van and we're going across the country.
Quitting my job at Taco Bell, and I'm going around the country.
Yeah, right. And at first, it seemed like it was going okay. But just like anything else, what you put out to the world might not be what you get back.
That's a good point there, because I see it a lot of times when couples are posting too much, or one of them's posting too much on Facebook and stuff, like, "Oh, our perfect life." There's a lot of not perfect life, and that's why they're compensating for it that way, I feel like.
And I don't understand, like, I just do not understand that.
I see it a lot. I see it a lot too. Jumping into relationships quick too.
Like, it's one thing, like, wife and I go out to dinner. We're looking really nice. Mom and dad are out. Take a picture. That's cool. But like, literally, like, we're at the park this weekend. Our perfect life. Guess who made dinner? Our perfect life. Yeah. That's almost a sense of projection. Because somewhere deep down in those cracks, it might not be perfect, or you feel like it's not enough.
I feel like a lot
Personally,
of that is.
I'm too damn busy living my own life to stop. And I mean, granted, I say that, but our part of our business and what we do is so ingrained in social media.
Yeah,
now.
I know. It's
that's
tough.
kind of like
it's
what
a
we
tough
have to do.
walk.
You have to think about it like that. But when it comes to my personal life, like, it's usually, I'm proud of my kids. This one did this.
Maybe we should start doing that every day after we do our morning Rip It Apart Wednesdays. We should be like, post the picture. Hey, we just did an awesome Rip Apart Wednesday, man. It's Mike and Jay living our best life.
I mean, you work the system and it works, but and there is money to be made. For how long, I don't know.
I just don't think these guys were at that level of making really money doing it yet, because I think there was pretty small time.
She though had a pretty good following, to the point where when everything started to fall apart, she actually reached out to her friends and family and said, "Hey, I'm going solo on this. I don't need him. This is my van. This is my deal. I'm going to just drop it off and I'll move on my own." Now, before that happened, though, it didn't get to happen because things went very much south. And that was started with a domestic disturbance call in New Mexico, Utah, or something like that. They got the full body camera footage.
The police were called.
Police eventually come out. They see what happened. But after discussing what happened, both people, the man and woman, laid their hands on each other. And so the police does the right thing, which is if they're not going to charge each other and they're not going to charge both of them, it's like a domestic dispute, both involved, whatever, they have to still separate them. And so they give the guy a hotel room and they tell her, take the van, go somewhere else for the night.
Bad move number one.
Bad mistake. For my personal opinion, if as an officer I come into this situation, and again, what they had to go on was the stories they were told by both, which they both laid their hands on each other. I would have also gotten her a hotel room, The reason being, if you are told on scene, hey, my girlfriend's got anxiety issues. She's got, she deals with depression. Sometimes she kind of wigs out. She's in hysterics.
Boy,
the last thing I'm going to do is say, here you go. Here's the keys to your van. Go off on your own.
If that would have been L.A. County, that guy would have been cuffed and in jail. They don't go by he said, she said. She's got marks. You're going to jail.
But he's got marks too.
Now in L.A. though, they don't play in L.A. In L.A. after the OJ thing, they changed. Yeah, 100%. The man.
Well, that doesn't.
No matter what anybody said, the man's getting locked up at least for the night.
Yeah. What happened to Xavier Worthy?
I'm just saying, this is what happens, man. This is what happens in L.A.
We don't know all the details. But
if the woman has marks, even if she was hauling bombs on him, the guy goes to jail for the night until they figure it out.
That's not right, though. It's just as much sexist to do it that way as it is the opposite.
I'm telling you, in L.A. County, he would have been in jail, man.
Because you got women that are trying to go for the bag all day.
Of course.
And use that.
Of course.
Doesn't make it right.
L.A.
But
is
ultimately,
crazy.
They didn't listen. They got back together, and then that's when it really started.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio this morning. It is Dark Side of the Stream, discussing American Murder, the Gabby Petito story. So, pretty much everyone knows what happened.
Yeah.
This girl goes missing. Her boyfriend then all of a sudden shows up back at his parents' house with the van.
Right.
They send the police over there. Parents don't want to talk to him. We've already contacted our lawyer.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Let's
Those
talk
parents.
about that for a second. We're both parents.
Yeah.
One day, one of your daughters comes to you and gets you to the side and says, "Dad, I screwed up." And you're like, "Well, that's okay. What happened?" She goes, "I killed somebody. She was really crazy, and I lost my shit, and I killed her." What are you gonna do?
Boy, that puts you in a tough spot, doesn't it?
What are you gonna do? I already know what I'd do. So
well, if the police are coming to my door, I'm not going to tell them I'm not talking to you guys. I'm going to talk to the police.
You're gonna tell them what happened.
Man, yeah, I guess you'd have to, right?
Is that what you do? I mean, this is a Jason question. This is
I would definitely talk to the cops. I would probably. I mean, man, that's a tough question. But I wouldn't shun the cops out and shun the other family out.
His parents
no,
did.
not at all. I wouldn't shun everybody out. Yeah. I would communicate with everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I love my kids more than anything in the world. I die for them without question, without hesitation.
Yeah.
But if they were to do something and make that decision for themselves, they're going to have to eat the consequences.
You're going to have to work through it.
I'll visit you every day in jail.
Yeah.
I'll send you commissary. I'll do everything I can to help you.
Tough spot.
But at that point, when you make that decision for yourself, you're going to have to.
So do you think when he got home, do you think he told his parents
absolutely.
what happened?
He called them. They had cell phone records the night it supposedly happened. There was a 30-minute phone conversation with his mom or dad or both of them, and then immediately after that was over, they called their attorney. So he had already told them what had happened, before he even got home. Then you get the letter that his mom wrote him, basically saying burn after reading, and she tells him in writing, "I would do anything I can. You're my boy. I got you." That, to me, is an accessory to murder, and they should have been charged. Now, they did lose a bunch of civil lawsuits,
of course, right?
Which they should have, all day long. And again, you are a horrible parent, and then on top of the fact that you went even further to be a horrible parent and be a horrible person to cover up. Because at the end of the day, what if the situation was reversed? What if your son was killed by his girlfriend and then the parents were stonewalling you?
How
are you going to feel about that?
Yeah, boy, that's a really tough scenario to be put in. It is a tough scenario and
a tough situation, but ultimately you didn't make that choice. The next choice you have to make is the type of human being you are.
You got to do the right thing.
And the right thing is
communicate with everybody.
Make your kid suffer the consequences of their action. And obviously you didn't do that because he became a murderer. So great job. Great job, Brian's parents, for raising an upstanding human being. Great job. Because you definitely showed what kind of parent you were after the fact, which is garbage.
Wouldn't talk to the cops, wouldn't talk to their family.
You're garbage.
Oof, man.
You're a garbage human being.
Tough.
You're garbage parents. And ultimately, you failed your kid because look at what happened to him. He took his own life because he couldn't even face the music, which is the most chicken bleep way out.
And even then, he still wrote a letter trying to make him sound like it was a good guy.
Bud.
Yeah.
Your actions speak louder than what you can ever write on a piece of paper. You're a garbage chicken, not even a man. with horrible parents that did you a bad job and probably bailed you out in everything you did in your life.
Boy, Mike is on fire today, Tyler.
We'll come back in just a few minutes. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio one more time. It's Dark Side of the Stream, episode 222, American Murder, the Disappearance of Gabby Petito. So I would give this probably 3.5, 4.
Wow.
Camping vans.
Wow.
Just because I loved the way that the producers broke it out in real time.
Yes.
The way everything kind of unfolded. The time was,
it didn't seem
crucial.
to have any dead spots. You know, some of these documentaries, they milk it too long.
Moved.
Yeah, they kept this one cruising. I was going to go 3, you know, on it. I kind of knew the story. I was really unhappy with the police work that happened.
The ones that initially got them, they should have been done a little bit better. But
yeah,
you can't
that
really
was
fault
sketch,
them
man.
because
It's tough,
the law
dude.
is the law.
They must feel bad after the fact, especially the one that says, "Man, you know,
he is. He'll tell you
he's
that
going to really, that's going to haunt him. It's going to haunt him that this happened."
But it's not his fault. Ultimately, could he have done differently? Yes, but in those situations, they have a procedure to follow, and they followed it.
Yeah.
Based on the law and what they were given at the time.
Yeah.
Ultimately, in the United States of America, if you got a woman that's dealing with a guy who won't stop stalking with, they can't really do anything until something happens. And in some cases, that's too late.
Yeah.
But
terrible.
The law is the law. And it is what it is. So it is terrible.
Well, watch it. It's a decent documentary.
Yeah,
it's easy watch.
A good one. Next week is my pick. We're going to do the documentary series on Hulu called Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frankie.
Who's that? Who's Ruby?
She was a vlogger and YouTuber that
Another one.
Also had a really good front-facing family. And behind the scenes, though, was not the case. As always, you can watch us do this live on Facebook or YouTube every Thursday at 9 a.m.
Watch our vlog.
That's what we call it. We also do it during my show at 9 a.m., Jay's show at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
We do it as a podcast. You can download for free on the
You can find it anywhere. We're worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm a circus performer now,
worldwide.
so we're worldwide.
But we're not in a domestic dispute yet.
Not yet.
Either way, I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens.
If we are, he'll vlog it. Tyler will vlog us in a domestic dispute.
This is Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7.
We watch documentaries, so you don't have to.
I forgot that part.